Hey guys, I wanted to just take a second to talk a little bit about observations. In the previous weeks you've been doing observations and getting a chance to kind of read through what you've been doing and seeing where you're struggling. I just wanted to take a second to just talk to you a little bit about that. I know it can be a painful thing. I know I can see it in your writings as you guys discuss these things. You're wanting to move beyond observations into the realm of interpretation. And that's okay. If you're a little frustrated right now, as I posted the other day on one of those, I don't know if you saw that or not, but that's okay. To feel frustrated about observations is somewhat the natural process, and it's kind of why we do it. Because I think that you're seeing that we have that sense of wanting to run so quickly into the realm of interpretation that we can very easily bring all of our own personal context, the baggage that we have into the text. And I think that you're seeing that. You're seeing how easy it is to read our own thoughts into the text. And so if right now you're a little frustrated about observations as a whole, that's okay. One of the things I am finding, to be real honest, is that it's tough to teach it from a distance in one sense. It's tough to be able to interact with you in a way to help you see what good versus bad observations are, what are accurate observations in comparison to moving into the realm of interpretation. And so I just thought I'd take a second to just kind of talk to you personally about some of the things that I've observed about your observations. Remind you also of the purpose. Remember the twofold purpose of observations. Again, just to be clear, remember that one of them is a protective aspect. To protect us and to protect, if I could put it like this, the Bible against our own pre-understanding. That we are trying very hard to overcome the pre-understanding that we bring to the text. And you can go back and review the chapter in the book on that and my own notes and maybe even the videos where we've talked about this. But just remind yourself of this and remind yourself of this purpose, because I believe that all people that are really wanting to learn how to study the Bible well are wanting to try to overcome this. And that's one of the purposes of the observational stage, to kind of pull back the reins and hold us back as we start to say, I think this or I think that, and to really go, but is this what God was communicating through the author? The second one is to prepare us. I think I spelled that right. To prepare us for what we're going to be dealing with when we get to the next stage in interpretation. And we're almost there. Take heart, we're almost there. We're going to be moving into this realm right here. But we want to make sure that we understand again why we're doing this, and making sure that as we're kind of experiencing that right now and asking, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Why are we doing this? Some of those questions, and just kind of remind ourselves of the big picture. So, let me just point you to a couple of things that I have observed about your observations. One, I just so appreciate you guys' desire to really try to do this. And your observations are, in so many ways, really, really, really good. You're really seeking to observe and see what does the text say, and to try very hard not to do this. It's fun to read through some of those discussion threads and see you catch yourself going, oh, maybe I just moved into the realm of interpretation. It's fun to watch others say, hey, and to do it with such a good attitude, too, of just saying, hey, maybe that last one, you maybe moved beyond a little too far there. So that's one of the things I really appreciate. And some of the observations you made have been great. Just even challenging myself, reading through some of these texts that can become familiar over time, and seeing some of your fresh insights are very, very encouraging. One thing that I might just encourage you on, remember, when you do the work of observations, you come with the text of Scripture, with a pen, to write on that text, whatever form you have, and your own humble self. That when you come to do observations, you're not reading any other outside sources. So there shouldn't be anything about my study Bible says, or I was reading in this particular source. No outside sources when it comes to observations. Okay? Because observations are just that. As we're moving towards this, through this plan and looking at the various components, observations are seeing what does the text say. And so we shouldn't be using any of those things. As I said, it's also fairly difficult to try to do this from a distance, and this is just one of the things that we'll continue to work on even as the semester goes on, of how to be able to interact in a better kind of way. It's part of the reason why I'm doing this video, is to try to just continue to encourage you to say this is how you do the work of observations. Just some of the ways that you might think about writing. Be careful of using words like "I think" or "this means this," or of course, if you're not using outside resources, you won't say things like "scholars say." You're wanting to try to really say, "The author says," "I observe this." It would seem as though this would be, and really try to even shape your language around observation type language. Not trying to be over analytical or nitpicky there. But one of the things that pulling back that reins about observations will help us to do is when you start to speak like that, it really is, it's training your mind about how to do the work of observation and just seeing what the text says. And just keep practicing and keep practicing and keep practicing. Because again, what we're really looking for is looking at the text from the author's vantage point as he's interacting with his audience, and so that we can really begin to discover what God's truth is as we're working on it. Please, I'm just trying as much as I can from a distance to encourage your hearts and to tell you guys you're doing a good job. You're learning a lot. I can see that. I really appreciate your interaction. Some of these things I'm saying here are just hopefully to continue to point you in the right direction. I understand that when you're doing your own personal Bible study, I understand that you will probably never have a time where you'll say, I'm just going to sit down and observe the text. That when you do observe something, that you'll probably move very quickly into the realm of interpretation. But since you're taking this class, and since I have the opportunity to do so, I'm really trying hard to pull back those reins and to really keep you from running forward too quickly, because I believe that if you begin to understand why we're doing this, and you start to practice it, you'll see the value of it. And that in your own personal devotions, your own personal Bible readings, as you study the Scriptures in depth, as you move on in life, you'll start to do this somewhat naturally, because you have trained yourself throughout this semester. And so be encouraged, keep at it. You guys are doing a great job. If you have questions, send them to me, and I'll try the best I can, even by email. Even this week in one of the class assignments, I'm creating a post where you can kind of interact and ask me some questions. So do that, and I'll try to do a better job of interacting with you on that. So stay at it. Be encouraged. You guys are doing great.